Welcome back, kids. Is everybody eager to hear what Elizabeth says at the school meeting? Stick around and we'll find out shortly. Chapter 2, A Surprise for the School.
24.
Chapter 24, A Surprise for the School. The last meeting before half term met at the same time as usual in the gym. Everyone was there except Joan, who was in the sand, rapidly getting better. Elizabeth sat on her usual form between Harry and Belinda, feeling rather excited. What a surprise she was going to give everyone. The ordinary business of the meeting went through as usual. Money was taken from the box, but none was put in. Most of the children were expecting money from their parents when they saw them at half term, and the next week the box would be very full again. A few complaints were made and one or two reports. Doris, who owned the guinea pigs, beamed when her monitor reported that she had not forgotten her pets once. "And," said the monitor, "they look the finest guinea pigs I've ever seen now." "Good," said Rita. "See that they keep like that, Doris." Then Elizabeth's turn came at the end of the reports. Rita knocked on the table with a mallet and everyone was silent. "I haven't much to say about Elizabeth Allen this week," said Rita, "but I must just say this. Both William and I know why Elizabeth spent so much money and what she spent it on. We are quite satisfied about it, and we hope that the jury and the rest of you will accept our word when we say that we can only say that we are satisfied and not tell you any more. Elizabeth was wrong to do what she did, but she was right not to tell us about it. Now the matter has come right, and we have no more to say." "Wait, Rita," said William. We have more to say. This is the meeting at which we were to ask Elizabeth if she wanted to leave us. It is our half-term meeting. Well, we are keeping our word to you, Elizabeth. If you want to go and you have made up your mind to do so, we give you our permission. Miss Bell and Miss Bess will tell your parents, and if they agree, you may go back with them when they see you tomorrow." Elizabeth stood up. Her cheeks were flaming red and her voice was not quite the same as usual. "I've got something to say," she said. "It's not very easy and I don't quite know how to say it. But anyhow, it's this. I'm not going." "Not going?" cried everyone in surprise, turning to look at Elizabeth. "But why not?" asked Rita. "You said you had made up your mind to go and that you never changed your mind." "Well, William said that only feeble people never change their mind if they know they are wrong," said Elizabeth. "And I know I was wrong now. I only made up my mind to be as naughty as possible because I was angry at being sent to school when I didn't want to go, and I vowed I'd go back home as soon as possible just to show I'd have my own way. Well, I like Whitleaf. It's a lovely school and I want to stay. So I've changed my mind, and though you've said I can have what I want and it's very nice of you, I don't want it now. I want to stay. That is, if you'll let me after all I've done." Everyone began to talk at once. Harry thumped Elizabeth on the back. He was very pleased. John now nodded at her in delight. Now she could help him with the garden. Richard actually left his place and came to whisper to her. "You're a good sort," he said. "You can play the game as well as you play the piano." William banged with the mallet. "Richard, go back to your place." Richard went back grinning. Belinda and Helen smiled at Elizabeth, trying to catch her eye. Everyone seemed as pleased as could be. "Elizabeth," said William, "we are very pleased with you. You've made a lot of silly mistakes, but you have made up for them all, and we admire you for being able to change your mind, admit you were wrong, and say so to us all. You are the sort of person we want at this school. We hope you will stay for years and do your very best." "I will," said Elizabeth, and she meant it. She sat down looking happy and excited. It was lovely that everyone was pleased. She wasn't the bold bad girl anymore. She was Elizabeth Allen, the sort of person that Whitleaf School wanted. She was proud and happy. The meeting ended soon after that, and Elizabeth sped off to the sand to find Joan. Joan was sitting up in a chair reading. "Hello," she said. "What happened at the meeting? Anything exciting?" "Well, the meeting said I could go home with my parents tomorrow," said Elizabeth. "So I got my own way, you see." "Oh, Elizabeth, I shall miss you so," said Joan. "You won't," said Elizabeth, "because you see, I'm not going. I'm staying on. I've changed my mind, Joan. I love Whitleaf, and I won't leave it for years and years and years. Oh, what fun we'll have together. We'll be monitors one day. Think of that. Shan't we be grand? Good gracious, said Joan, so delighted that she hopped out of her chair and flung her arms around her friend. I can't believe it. Oh, I do feel so glad. Matron came into the room and looked horrified to seeing Joan out of her chair. What are you doing? She said sternly. I shan't let Elizabeth come in here if that's the way you behave, Joan. But matron, I was so pleased because Elizabeth is staying on instead of leaving, said Joan, sinking back into her chair. Dear me. Fancy being pleased because a bad girl like this is staying with us, said Matron, with a twinkle in her eye. The girls laughed. They liked Matron. She was cheerful and friendly, though strict. She gave Joan some medicine and went out. We shall have a lovely half-term now, said Joan. My mother's coming to take me out. Is yours coming too? Yes, I had a letter this morning, said Elizabeth. Oh, Joan, let's ask our mothers to take us out together. That would be much more fun than going alone. Yes, we will, said Joan happily. I am sure I shall be well enough tomorrow to go get up properly. Now you'll have to go, Elizabeth. That's the supper bell. Well, I'll see you tomorrow, said Elizabeth. What fun we'll have. Oh, I am glad. I'm not going home with my mother tomorrow. I wonder what she'll say when she hears that I want to stay on. Every letter I've written to her, I've told her that I want to leave. Mrs. Allen was very much astonished when she saw Elizabeth the next day. The little girl looked so bright and happy. Her mouth was no longer sulky, and there was no sign of a frown at all. Elizabeth flung herself into her mother's arms and hugged her. It's lovely to see you, Mummy, she said. Do come and see everything, the playroom and my classroom and our bedroom. It's number 6, and the garden and everything. Her mother followed Elizabeth round, marveling at the change in her little girl. Could this really be Elizabeth, this good-mannered, polite, happy child? Everyone seemed to like her. She had lots of friends, especially the gentle Joan, who seemed to be Elizabeth's special friend. Well, Elizabeth, you're quite a different child, said her mother at last. Oh, look, there's Miss Best. I must just have a word with her. Good morning, Miss Best, said Miss Allen. Elizabeth has just been showing me around, and really, she does seem so happy and jolly. What a change you've made in her. I feel quite proud of her. She has made a change in herself, said Miss Best, smiling her lovely smile. You know, Miss Allen, she was the naughtiest girl in the school. Yes, she really was. It was difficult to know what to do with her, but she knew what to do with herself. One of these days she will be the best girl in the school, and how proud you will be of her then. Then you want to stay on, Elizabeth? Said her mother in astonishment. Well, I am glad. What a surprise. Mrs. Townsend arrived to see Joan at that minute, and Elizabeth ran to see if Joan was ready. She had been kept in bed to breakfast, but was to get up afterwards and allowed to go in her mother's car. She was tremendously excited. It's the first time I've ever had a half-term treat like this, she chattered excitedly as Elizabeth helped her to dress quickly, and it's all because of you, Elizabeth. Oh, rubbish, said Elizabeth. Hurry up, Joan. What a time you take with your stockings. We're going to have lunch at a hotel. Fancy that. I hope there will be strawberry ice creams, don't you? Joan was ready at last, and the two girls went to find their mothers, who had already made friends. Then they settled down in Mrs. Townsend's car, for she said she would drive them all. Now we're off for our treat, said Elizabeth, happily as the car sped through the archway. She looked back at the beautiful building. Goodbye for a little while, she said. I'm coming back to you, and I'm glad it's not goodbye forever. We must say goodbye too, though maybe we will see Elizabeth again and follow her exciting adventures at Whitleaf School. Goodbye, Elizabeth, naughtiest girl in the school. And that is the end of the book.